Hi, this is Shane Starr from Philosophical Reflections on Religion. Today we're going to discuss time. There are so many things we could say about it. I've been fascinated by time and different perspectives of time ever since I was little. You know, um, as I think of time, I'm going to take a sip of this beautiful coffee, and I wonder, has that moment come and gone, or is there a part of it that endures forever? Maybe at the end of this video we'll have a better clue to what the answer is. So I think that's a good start. What if time isn't what we really think it is? We've seen how science has shown us things that people took for granted, like the earth is flat, and upon further study and evidence, we find that it's not. Um, Other things about how the body works, or things that are healthier than we thought, or unhealthier than we thought. What if the most thing that is an illusion is time itself? And I think many watching this video will already have an idea that it is indeed different than we perceive it. I think most of us imagine time as a river flowing from the past to the future. It's sort of the same stream, but you can sort of look back, look ahead, and from that perspective, you're always moving into the future. You can't go back. I mean, that much we can sort of take for granted. But to go a little bit deeper than that, I think, Einstein, in his famous theory of relativity, he's shown us that space is connected with time. And oftentimes, theoretically, we think of space as hard, um, present, and time is this mysterious flow or something. But no, in fact, space and time are connected. And I want you to take a moment and try to conceptualize that, and think, what does that mean? Time and space are actually connected. They're part of the same thing. You cannot have one without the other. And if you think about that, this is one of those beautiful moments where science and theology merge, because that's the way the Christian viewpoint is that space and time are united. And when we think of the Big Bang, that's not the creation of everything, it's the creation of space and time, which, from a materialist perspective, perhaps that is everything. But I think even materialists would have to acknowledge the existence of dark matter, antimatter, things beyond what our five senses can imagine. But the big point here is that if time began with creation and not before it, then God didn't simply exist before time and then at a certain point in time created the universe. No, it doesn't work like that. God exists beyond time, outside of time. It's like the same way we exist outside a movie we're watching. We're free from the constraints of the space and time as it flows within the movie. And that's a God's eye view of space and time as we know it. So God didn't enter the timeline. God created the timeline. And Christianity also says God acts in history. God has spoken. God has, in fact, entered time incarnate as Christ from the Catholic point of view. And so we have to understand that even though we're limited by space and time, God isn't. God is beyond time, but also freely, through an act of love, we Christians believe, freely enters time as well. And I think that that changes how we should envision our own lives. So I think my next point would be that, and this goes along with contemporary science, time is more like a landscape than a river. Again, we think of it as a river. Think of it, try to imagine time as an enormous landscape, and you're occupied in one little part. But from God's perspective, God can see the whole land. I think that's an easier way to look at it. If that analogy doesn't work for you, think of a movie. God is the director and creator of the movie, and we're the people in it. Now, I think that brings up some questions about free will, and I don't think knowledge of the future entails making someone do what they do. For instance, if I drop this ring and I ask you what's going to happen, you can say, when he lets go of the ring, it's going to fall. Okay, you predicted the future, you knew the future, but did you make that future happen? No, I'm the one who was the actor in that event. I think obviously the analogy is going to break down in terms of the infinite versus the finite, beyond space and time versus within space and time. But I think we still have free will. You can have both God's knowledge and free will at the same time. Just watch someone do something that you can predict, or watch any action according to the laws of physics. You know what happens. That doesn't mean you made it happen. Okay? But back to my point, God sees the whole thing. God sees our lives, the entire film, if you want to keep that film analogy. And from that perspective, outside of time, there is no yesterday or tomorrow for God. God sees yesterday and tomorrow, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 years, either way, with the same clarity that he sees the present moment. So to us, tomorrow, a year, a decade might seem far away. From God, it's right there. When we connect space and time together, you can use analogies like, there's the whole world, then there's the country within the world, the state within the country, the city within the state, the street within the city, the house on the row of houses on the street, a room in that particular house, things in that particular room in that particular house, and then the pieces or parts of things in that room, like the coffee lid. All of those are immediate to God, whereas to us they aren't. But if you see the bigger picture, you can conceptualize that past, present, and future are all immediate to God. What does this mean in practical terms? It means really that every moment matters. Every moment becomes permanent. Everything we do is right here, right now. We like to distance ourselves from our mistakes in the past, or envision ourselves, how we want, or sometimes with fear in the future. But it's all right here, right now, from a God's eye view or perspective. And what are the consequences of this view? Another analogy. At work, they joke that I'm the king of analogies. Think of a tattoo artist. We've made mistakes, and sometimes people get tattoos they'd rather not have or regret. A great tattoo artist can cover up a bad tattoo and turn it into something beautiful. And I think that's what God does with our lives. God can redeem the mistakes of our past. Now, there's a distinction between that and deleting them. There's an old Persian parable, I think, that says the handwriting moves forward and you can't go back. It's true. You know, we can't erase our mistakes of the past, but we can transform them. You know, just as a tattoo artist can transform an ugly or outdated or bad tattoo into something beautiful, God can turn even our worst mistakes into something beautiful as well. So our failures aren't deleted, they're transformed. They're not erased by grace, they're redeemed by grace. So, you know, one of my favorite sayings was always, your life is your own work of art. And sometimes we're gonna make spots on that work, but through God we can turn those spots into beautiful elements on our tapestry of our lives. So again, thinking of the past, present, and future as being all immediate to God, every moment matters. The immediate moment matters. The only place we can ever meet God is right here, right now. And I want you to really think about that for a minute. You know, we can't count on what we did yesterday for or against. We can't think about what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We might not even be here. But we do have right now. Right now is a precious gift. And as I said before, God can move from outside of time, inside of time. I'm going to say that we can too in a particular way, and that is through prayer and communion with God, most fully realized in the Eucharist. But when we're in contact with God, that's where space and time is in touch with eternity. And I think that is how to live our moments most meaningfully. You know, Jesus said, don't worry about tomorrow, let tomorrow take care of itself. And most people think in psychological terms when they hear this, but there's a metaphysical component to it too. You know, the past and the future isn't where God's calling you. God's calling you right here, right now. So with that in mind, make tomorrow your present. Your future self will thank you for it. God bless till next week. See you guys soon.